Alright, welcome back to Groundless Ranch. Boy, have we got an update for you. Today, we're going to be tearing down a little dirt bike that we have. I didn't plan on doing this project right now, but we're going to start early for a whole bunch of reasons we're going to get to. Stick with us. Coming right up. Alright, so last year I bought the CFR 100 F9 for $1,000. The reason that I picked it up was it was half the price of every other 100 series dirt bike out there, and I should have known at that time what I was going to find. We've torn it down, we've cleaned it up, got all the dirt kicked off it, and I bought it with a known issue. It smokes. These bikes are notorious for having rings issues and mostly valve train issues, which we're going to get to in this video. Now, I don't know right now exactly what the issue is, but I knew that we had a cluster of things go wrong. So let's go over those things that I found and things that I knew when I first bought this bike. Okay guys, this is a 2009 Honda CFR 100F. Very common bike, very reliable bike. We bought it knowing that it had some issues, but we discovered a few more things when we got it torn down that we didn't know were happening. We knew that the suspension linkage needed to be replaced because the bushings are beat out, both on the shock and the actual bottom link as well. The swing arm bushings are bad. We knew that she had some play issues and she was missing the spring retainer. We knew that the forks needed to be rebuilt and repacked. And we discovered once we got the engine out of it that this little gem was hiding on the frame. Somebody at some point in time snapped the frame in it, however they did it. Lord knows what 12-year-old welded this together, but it seems to hold right now. So we're going to work at that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. That's going to be a real interesting part of this video, these videos. One thing that we did know when we bought it was that it smokes when it's driven. Starts in the first kick, which means it must have good compression, but the actual oil is getting into the system somehow, which is common for these motorcycles to have valve leak down. The seals, the valves are burnt. I'm sure we're going to tear into that in this video, and you're going to see exactly what we find as I find it, because I haven't actually looked yet. What's interesting about this is that this frame break is kind of a big deal. Whoever fixed it and whoever did it seems to have taken little care in fixing it. So you remember that weld we were just talking about? This is the end result of someone who doesn't know what they're doing. All points being square, I'm going to use this as a temporary straight edge. If you look down the frame, she is crabbed over to the right. And if you follow the line all the way up from the center of the spline all the way up, you can suddenly see how bad that actually is. So this is going to be a fun repair. It's something that I didn't plan on doing, didn't expect to have to do, but at least I know how to fix it, and it's not going to be easy. Guys, there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff that comes out with this series, with this bike. Just because it's a small bike doesn't mean that it's not equally as difficult to do as a big bike. It's all the same parts. When the motor's mounted, the motor bolts go through here and here and here and here. And there's a specific mount that goes on here. So that is a structural aspect of this entire frame. Now, I have to make sure when I rebuild this that these bolts and this bracket lines up perfectly with this one and this one here, so that the chain can remain in alignment with the rear tire. It's a very simple idea that's very difficult to do, because now I have to do this with the motor in the frame in order to straighten this out. So there's going to be a lot of measuring going on. It's going to be a lot of custom fabrication in order to redo this and rebuild it. All right, let's get to the engine part of things. Here's the plan as I see it. We're going to take the spark plug out. We're going to take the side covers off. We're going to open up the clutch and the stator side. Both stator sides should have the timing marks on it. The clutch side, we have some clutch issues. The clutch is very stiff. We're going to inspect the spark plug. I already know it's a mess. It's definitely carboned up. There's something wrong. When we drained the oil had shiny metal shavings in it, which isn't uncommon. There's a lot of mechanical parts in here that can cause that. It doesn't necessarily mean we have a transmission issue or anything like that. Where we have smoke coming out of the exhaust severely, we know that there is something mechanically wrong that could do it. So this is the stator side. This is the dry side of the motor. There should be no oil over on this side. This is where your electronic signal is generated. There's only a few bolts. Both sides covers are held on by 8mm. Not a lot of pressure holding them on, and there shouldn't be a lot of pressure taking them off. As soon as you break them loose, they should just zip right out. Enough that a 7-year-old can do it. See this, there's a T here. There's an actual line right there, even though it's highlighted with a marker. I'm gonna put that line right there. And if you follow the case straight up, in the middle, you should see the O. But if you'll notice that the O is actually advanced, or actually we call it retarded, one tooth, which from working on other Honda motors, that's probably not right. Because if it was retarded one tooth, you'd probably have an interference issue. Let's dig into it. Let's see what we find. That's kind of an interesting. I don't have the manual for this particular motor series yet. I have other manuals for other ones, and I know that those marks are supposed to be perfectly aligned at all times. Put that down there. Good. The thing I love about these engines is the fact that everything is fairly basic. 8, 10, 12, 15, 17mm. 12mm head bolt nuts. 15. Rocker arm assembly shows a little bit of wear here. Some worse. Not much worse though, I'm gonna be honest. So we got our first indication of problems. Look at this thing. Burnt, scorched. This one's absolutely pitted and ruined. I could hit it with my finger and it feels like a whole bunch of ridges and edges. So cams are cooked. Good to know. I'm gonna hold that. Yep. And there is no oil valleys are missing. The seat is gone. And of course, as with all of these type of builds, there is no bearing surface. So that means we are in for a new head no matter what, right away. There you go. There's the problem. Look, you even get chunks missing out of the piston, scoring from inside the cylinder wall. Cylinder wall itself is rocking and slapping around in there. Man, she's in rough shape. So we're looking at where the piston scored and where the cylinders scored. The head, the cam in the head is ruined, and so is the journal that it sits in. We're gonna have to crunch some numbers. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I have an idea with what I'm gonna do. Just like true to my style, if we're gonna make it right again, let's make it better than right. Let's see if we can find out. We have found out what our problems are with this engine. The top end is pretty much trashed. So, give me your opinion, guys. A lot of you have a lot more experience about these things than I do. I can fix it. But how should I fix it? Should I put it back completely to stock? Or should we actually invest some money into it and upgrade it into something that's quite a bit more than what the 100 was intended to be? You let me know. We're going to be replacing the exhaust. We know that already. Should we upgrade? Are you kidding me?
Ow!
Alright, that's not me. That's you. Should we upgrade? Should we go up to 120? Should we put a hotter cam into it? What should we do? We're going to replace it to everything anyway. I know some of you may say, well, the frame is quite destroyed. And you're right, it is. But I think I can convince you with relative ease that it's worth saving, and it's a fairly simple fix as long as you're willing to stay sober and use measuring tape in order to put it back together. Let's name the bike, and we'll make it into something that's hopefully a lot more interesting than what it started out as. Because this thing is an absolute piece of garbage as it sits right now. There you have it. So this little project's kicking off a little sooner than I anticipated. I didn't plan on actually doing this right now. It was going to be for the winter. It was going to be a winter project. Right now, because 2 days ago, I had an unexpected medical event. I got up to use the washroom in the middle of the night. Went in to have a pee standing up at the porcelain toilet. And next thing I know, I wake up on the floor to my wife calling for an ambulance. So they suspect that I had some sort of cardiac event. Spent the night in ICU monitoring. I passed all my tests, and now I have to get a heart monitor put in. But because I had an unexpected loss of conscious, or unexplained anyway, I don't have a driver's license for this week, and we're starting this project a little early. If you guys have any idea where the best place to buy parts is for these bikes, or it's a good resource with exploded diagrams, it'd be greatly appreciated. Any direction on where I can find some of the information about them outside of what the factory manual says, that would be greatly appreciated too. Comment below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. We're going to keep working at this. There's some major work to do in the future.